What's going on, fisher people? Welcome back to another Broken Water Outfitters fly tying video. Today we're going to show you how to tie our Workhorse Pheasant Tail pattern. Not a super complicated pattern. It's Pheasant Tail Nymph with a CDC collar. Thing just works. The variation we're going to show you is olive on olive. Play around with color combinations. You might find something that works better in your local streams, but this has become our go-to point fly when we are tight lining. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Please like and subscribe, follow along with us. And without further ado, here's the pattern. So we're going to start out by putting our hook in the vise. Here we're using a size 12 jig hook with a 4mm bead. So we're going to add a little bit of lead-free wire to that. With this size combination, we're going to use 0.020 lead-free wire. So I like to put my wire on by just starting the tag end and then working it up forward. Then use my fingernail and break the wire off, and then I push everything up into the bead and secures it nicely. And you have zero waste when you use this technique with putting on your wire. So I'm going to start my thread, building up a slight little dam behind the wire, and then wrap up through that lead-free wire just to secure it, and cover everything up here as we go. Today I'm using Danville 70 denier. Really like this thread. And I'm going to tie in the tail. For the tail, you're going to use Coke de Leon. Grab about 5 to 6 fibers and pull the hackle off the stem, keeping everything nice and aligned so your tail's even. You're going to secure that by taking wraps down the shank towards the bend, and then here's where I do things a little differently, where I take a wrap underneath just to stand it up and splay out those tail fibers a little bit. You can see we're already starting to fill up that transition from the hook shank to that wire. So now we're going to tie in our rib. We're using amber colored ultra wire, size small. I really like this wire in this color. It's very close to the copper, but it's just a little bit duller. Doesn't have quite that same bright flash that you get with copper wire, and that's not what we're looking for on this pattern. Now we're going to take our olive dyed pheasant tail. I'm going to pull about 5 or 6 fibers of this also. Snip away those brittle tips, and then tie it in on the opposite side of the shank that you did your wire. Work our thread back forward. You can see we have a nice smooth body, all that wire's covered up. So now we're going to take wraps with the pheasant tail fibers, touching wraps up the shank. I could have probably picked some longer fibers. These ones were lower on the tail feather, so they're a little bit shorter, but we're going to make it work. So you get those up to where you would want your thorax to start. You're going to go ahead and tie those off. Take a couple good tight securing wraps. Then come in with your scissors and trim those butt ends. Careful not to cut your pheasant tail you just wrapped up the shank. Now we're going to take our rib, our wire, and we're going to go and make counter wraps evenly spaced up the shank of the hook. Once you get the wire up there, wrap your thread around it a couple times, Then wrap over it to secure it. And helicopter your wire free. Now we're going to take our black Peacock ice dub and dub a small amount onto our thread. When I build the thorax with this, I like to take kind of some crossover wraps with it, where I'm crossing back over itself. So now we're going to prepare our CDC collar. Just going to take a CDC feather, pull off the fluffy fibers at the bottom, bring everything back, and then you're going to take your CDC clip or CDC tool, and you're going to slide one side of the feather, you're going to slide those hackles into that and secure it. Now you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut as close to the stem as you can without cutting the stem to leave those fibers in the clip. So now we're going to make our dubbing loop. Insert our dubbing tool, making sure you keep your finger inside the loop. Now we're going to slide those fibers in, pull our finger out of the loop once we have them in there so that it tightens down. And now we're going to take a couple spins. You can see how that just ropes up nicely. Way easier dealing with this at a dubbing loop than if you were trying to deal with the stem on CDC hackles. Sweep everything backwards so we're not trapping things down as we rotate around here. So we're going to wrap those just behind the bead, moving towards the bead. Once we get that last wrap in, we're going to cross our thread over that loop a couple times. Take one or two wraps around the hook shank to secure that. Snip what's left of that loop off. Bring everything back. And then we'll do a double whip finish. Make sure everything's nice and tight before you cut or break your thread free. Some of those fibers might be a little bit long, so all we want to do is bring them back and break them where we want them with our fingernails. Don't want to cut them with scissors, leaves an unnatural look. Add a little bit of head cement if you'd like. There is your Workhorse Pheasant Tail. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you tie some of these up, add them to your arsenal, use them when you get out there, and hopefully you have a bunch of success with them. Remember, like, subscribe, follow along with us. Most importantly, get out there and hunt the water.